read our waiver. So in order to make these classes as freely accessible to our participants, we will be using a verbal warning and assumption of risk at the beginning of class. Participation in this online class is voluntary. Physical activity programs may result in injury, and by participating, you assume the risk of injury that may result from your participation. We strongly recommend that you participate from a space that is suitable for this activity. For example, make sure that you have moved nearby furniture and other potential hazards. If you are participating in a yoga class or class that involves laying on the ground, we recommend using a mat, or if you don't have one, a carpeted area. Participants are encouraged to stop if they experience pain or injury and should seek appropriate medical advice or care as needed. William & Mary Health and Wellness strongly recommends that each participant have an annual physical examination and follow the advice of your healthcare provider before participating. Alrighty, so with that, we're gonna go ahead and get started. You can start by standing on your mat, playing that music if you'd like. Let me just go ahead and make sure I'm muting everyone upon entry. And we'll get started. I will give you a quick introduction, but we're gonna start by rolling out our shoulders front and backwards. So welcome to Barre, everyone. If you're new, I want to welcome you. Barre is a combination of yoga, Pilates, and ballet. We focus on targeting small muscle areas with small, low body weight or body weight movements for a nice medium impact workout. So start by rolling your shoulders today back and forth while lifting one foot in releve and then the other. Just getting a nice light rhythm going as we roll. I'm gonna adjust the camera just so you can see me. The light's a little weird, but we make do. I'll be in the shadows a bit. All right, switch directions, keeping that bounce going. If you have music playing, go with the beat that you're going to. I love going with the beat, but I will be just going with my own musicality today. Oh, thank you. That's a good. They don't close all the way, sadly. They're a little bit broken, but thank you for the advice. I need to get new blinds. All right, starting off, we're gonna stand with our feet shoulder distance apart and just start by bouncing back and forth off your feet and shaking out your hands. Just a nice light bounce. Shaking out all those worries. It's the mid-afternoon. Maybe you've had some classes, shaking them all out for this next hour. Whew, give me that nice rhythm going. All right. Taking your hands across in front of your body, linking them together to flip them inside out, giving yourself a nice stretch in that chest. And then bringing them behind your body to do the same positioning now, just flipping your hands so your palms are facing away from your body. With a slight bend in that left leg, raise your right leg into a nice pointed lifted action or position and roll that foot just to wake up today. Wake up all your muscles, say hello to that ankle and switch directions. While also doing some balance challenges. All right, switching legs. We're just gonna do the same thing. So point that foot and flex it and start with some rolling. Just to wake up all our muscles, our joints. I've been sitting for a couple hours, so always good to wake them up today. Bringing your feet down, lean over your legs, bringing those arms down, letting them fall, switching between a bend in your right leg and your left leg to stretch out those legs a bit today too. Always good to have a warm up that incorporates stretching and getting that heart rate elevated. A few more bends. Switching. All right, coming back up, we're gonna incorporate some modern dance into today's warm-up. You may recognize this from some of my other classes. So bringing your hands above your head and bring them down across your body to swipe on the floor as you plie, and then swiping them back up. Swiping up and down. As you do that, I'm just gonna reposition a bit, try and get myself a little bit less in the shadows. I apologize for that. So as we swipe, doing it with the rhythm, bending those legs, nice slight bounce as you bounce up and down. Now you have the option here to add in a jump to raise up that heart rate even higher during today's warm up. So next time you come down, just as you swing those arms, jump those feet with a nice pointed toe and raise, making sure that when you come back down, you're in a nice plie position, landing soft in those knees. Of course, you have the option to just stay swinging those arms, doing it to whatever beat you're listening to, just to get our heart rate a little bit raised. 4 more. 4, 3, 2, last one. Good work. Keeping your legs shoulder distance apart. We're gonna wake up those legs a little bit more this morning. Taking your right leg back, tapping it directly behind you with your toe, bringing it to your side, you're right back into that same position, and then out to the side. Pretending we're like a runner about to go on a marathon, adding in your arms, keeping a nice slight bend in that standing leg as we tap out. You can keep at this pace, or you can do double time. Feeling that in that standing leg already. I am feeling that burn. Don't know about you guys. All right, for 4, 3, 2, last one. Good. Keeping those legs bent, we're just gonna repeat on the other side. Shoot that left leg back, tapping that toe, bringing it right back to that right leg, and then tapping out to the side. Back into the side, and then add in your running arms. Good job. Tapping, this gets your heart rate nice and raised while also incorporating some deep muscle recruitment in our warm-up, just to get everything nice and awakened. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Coming back up, we're going to go into a second position to continue our warm-up. Second position, you want your legs more than shoulder distance apart. So nice wide stance with your feet turned out towards the sides. We're just gonna go into a nice grand plie. Bending those legs, you want your knees above your ankles and your glutes nice and neutral, meaning that when you plie and straighten, you picture yourself standing up and down or sliding up and down a wall. Your glutes aren't tucked in or out, just nice and neutral. And we're plieing deeply and straightening. If you want, you can add in some ballet arms. So plie in second and raise those hands in a nice curved shape above your head as you straighten. Just some nice warming up this morning. We'll be doing a lot more in second position today. So it's important to get comfortable with this positioning. Plie and straightening for 4, and we're gonna add on 3, 2, 1. Staying in that second position, you're going to plie down, and when you straighten this time, point that right foot and stretch over with that right arm and back into second position, and switch to your left foot and left arm stretching. We're waking up our body, raising our heart rate, and stretching out our sides to go at whatever pace feels right for you this afternoon, not morning. I always like to think it's morning when I do these classes, but as you know, we are well into the day. Whew. Nice deep stretch as you come up. Plie down to a nice plie. Maybe deepening that for the last 4, 3, 2. We're gonna switch it up. 1. Next time we come up, twist your arms into a nice arabesque, pointing that left arm, squaring those hips towards the side, coming it back down to second position, plie, and switching to the other side. Plie and arabesque. You can add some lyricality, switching that arm, gliding it across as we tap. Picturing we're all ballerinas this afternoon. Tap and tap. Whew. I'm feeling my heart rate raise as we do this warm up for 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Coming back down into that second position. Switch your legs from turning out to turn in so your toes are facing straight in front of you, bringing those arms up by your side and regaining your breath. I want you to shoot them down towards the ground, keeping your fingers in between your feet, and I just want you to bend those legs and straighten them. Your arms can be as far down as it feels comfortable. If that means they're not touching the ground, that is totally fine. It is just whatever is comfortable for you. We all have different levels, different comfort levels with different stretches and moves, and just how we're feeling today. So this is your workout. I will be giving you options throughout, and you get to pick what feels right for you. We're gonna do 4 more stretches. 3, last 2, 1. Good job. Coming to the bar that you have nearby, if you do, whatever thing you have to rest on, put both hands on the bar, shoot that right leg out for a nice deep stretch so we can stretch out that calf in the back. Just stretch, maybe deepening in a little bit, leaning in. If you don't have a bar, you can just put your hands on your hips and do the same stretch. Absolutely fine. Just helps a little bit with balance. Now switch your legs, shooting that left leg back, hips square towards the front. Ooh, feeling that deep stretch in that calf. I'm feeling it especially on this side. Nice to wake them up. I'm feeling a bit tight this afternoon. Stretching in. Good. All right. Coming to the end of your mat, we're going to finish up our warm-up on the ground. So shooting your arms up by your sides, flat back down until you can't help it, but curve it. Maybe rubbing the back of your calves one more time for a nice deep stretch before we walk our hands out into a plank position. To set up your plank position for today, we'll be doing this throughout today's class. I want you to get comfortable. Make a straight line from your shoulder to your wrist, spreading out those fingers nice and wide towards the front of the room, engaging the core and your legs so you are nice and activated all throughout your body, making sure you're not drooping at all. Nice and engaged throughout your body. Once you're comfortable here, I want you to shoot your hips back into a nice downward dog, having a flat back, looking in between your arms towards your feet. If you have anyone there, maybe you're seeing them between your feet. Right now I'm seeing my messy room. Bending one leg and then the other, walking the dog. That's what we like to call it, to just stretch out those calves a bit more. Transitioning back, deep. We're gonna go back down into that plank position, hold for 3 seconds, and then just shoot your hips back again into that downward dog, and coming back down. Just transition between these 2 positions a couple times, waking up your body. 2 more, 2, last 1. Good. Coming into your plank position, we're gonna finish up today's warm-up by doing 5 clean push-ups. To set you up for your push-up position, you have the option to bring your knees onto the ground for a half, like a plank position with your knees on the ground. Sorry, excuse me. Long day. We're gonna keep our fingers nice and spread apart. You're gonna shoot your elbows out towards the side, bringing your chest as low to the ground as you can, and coming up into a straight position. You have the option to bring your legs up and just do a full push-up. Whatever you want for today's warm-up is up to you. Once you get in your position, we're going to go for 5. Ready? All right, here we go. Down 1, up, 2, up, 3, up, 4, up, 5. Good job. Shoot your hands back, your hips back into a nice child's pose. Take a moment to regain your breath. That finishes up our warm-up. We're gonna go into our arms portion now. So coming back up, we're gonna do some plank walk-ups. Some of my favorites, just a nice way to get our arms activated this morning. So coming up into that plank position, you're going to use your arms to shoot your hips back and slowly walk up your mat into a standing position. Just like we did during the warm-up, we're just doing this fully now. So once you get comfortable with it, bring those arms back down, walk back down into a plank, hold it for a second, and then use them to walk you back up again, and then raising them above your head. We're gonna do 10 of these all together. You can do it at whatever pace you want. This is my third. I like these. They're fun, kind of make me feel like I'm, I don't know, climbing a bit. That's 5 for me, halfway there. It's a sneaky way to work out your arms. I like sneaky workouts. They trick you or work out different areas of your body you're not even expecting. That's 7 for me. 8. 2 more. Last 2. Our last one. Good. All right, we are going to transition into a T push-up today to finish up our mat portion of our arms workout. So for a T push-up, we're gonna be doing partly what we did in our warm-up, but adding on. So you're gonna shoot your arms out to the side. You have the option to either be on your knees or up in a full push-up position. So you're going to lower yourself down, and when you come back up, you're going to twist your body, bringing your arm above your head to make a nice line into a T position and lowering. So we're going to do 10 of these. So you have the options that you have either on your knees or up. You can do a combination. Just get ready, set your intentions, and here we go. Lowering your chest towards the ground, shifting your hips to stack on top of each other to raise that arm to the sky, bringing it back down, and doing it on the other side. Whew. Making sure your movements are nice and controlled when you come down into that push-up position. You're not drooping your hips. You're not letting that core droop, keeping it nice and engaged. 4, 5. If you're listening to a song, channeling the energy of that song as we finish up our mat portion of our workout. 7, 8, we're almost there. 9, last one, and 10. Good job. Take a minute, stretch out those wrists, turn your hand onto the front of it right here, facing your fingers towards your body, just to stretch out your wrists a little bit. We were doing a lot of weight on them, so being kind to them and switching just to stretch out those wrists a bit. All right, we're gonna go into our standing portion of our bar. If you wanna grab a quick sip of water, I'm gonna do so. Important to stay hydrated, especially on a hot day like today. And we're gonna transition into our standing arm portion now. In a minute, I'll give you the option to grab those light hand weights if you want, or you can just do it body weight, whatever works for you. So we're gonna start out in a skier position, I like to call it. So you're gonna bend those hips, nice bend in those legs, keeping your feet shoulder distance apart. I want you to tilt forward 45 degrees while keeping a flat back and look 3 to 4 feet in front of you. Just making sure nice neutral spine. And once you have this, make a straight line from your shoulders to your wrists, keeping your arms at your side of your body, and we're just gonna pulse up and down. So we're just pulsing up. These are tricep pulses. A lot of times we can do some tricep extensions, but this is another great way to burn out those triceps without any weight, just pulsing up and down. Throughout today's class, I'm going to be telling you to do some pulses. What's important for them is that you don't picture yourself as bouncing. You picture yourself moving up an inch and down an inch. This will ensure that you're really being cognizant and intentional with the muscles that you're using, and really engaging them throughout the entirety of the movement. Continuing to pulse up, keeping that positioning, looking 3 to 4 feet in front of you with a nice bend in those legs. I am starting to feel that burn in those triceps. Crazy how just pulsing up and down can really burn out your muscles. Okay, for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Lower those hands. We're going to continue our no weight portion of our arms workout by going into a nice second position, keeping your arms more than shoulder distance apart. You have the option to continue standing, but if not, you can come to a second position, grand plie. This will just keep your entire body active throughout this arms portion. All right, so bringing your arms out horizontally to the sides of you, flipping your palms up, excuse me, I'm gonna close my door. Flipping your palms up so that they are looking up towards the ceiling. You're gonna pulse up for 2, flip them to the back of the room facing behind you and pulse back for 2. Up, 2, pulse back. Continue doing that. Sorry, I like to say I have a ghost that bounces, that opens my door. Just some of the quirks of living in a little rent college house off campus. So up, 2, back, 2. Nice, intentional, small movements as we really burn out our arms, not any weights. We've all probably become accustomed to doing workouts at our homes over the past few months. I know I have, and I really appreciate workouts and movements that you can do at any time of the day with no weights. So if any point you want to just burn out your arms a bit, you have the option to do this. We have 4 more here. 3, we're going to keep them up, so keep that in your mind. 2, last one, good. All right, keeping those arms at your side, just start making small circles towards the front of the room. Your arms are probably screaming at you a bit, mine are. It just means the muscles are working. You're burning them out today. Always have the option to come into standing second position or going down to a nice grand plie. Feeling that burn, thinking of the music you're listening to, maybe what your plans are for the rest of the day as we go for 4. We're going to switch directions. 3, last 2, 1. Now going backwards. Whew. I always find the transition from going in a circle from one direction to the other to be one of the hardest. I think just telling your muscles, same muscles, but slightly different movement, really burns them out. Whew, for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last movement, you're gonna bring your arms up to face up towards the ceiling again. This time bending your arms slightly, nice 45-degree tilt. You're just gonna do small pulses in. Almost like you're saying, why? Why? Why are you making me do this, Claire? You're just doing a why, a little shrug. So you pulse in and straighten. If you want, you can add a slight lift in those legs as we're in a plie and straighten to do whatever movement feels right. It's kind of like a funky dance move, like we're all dancing together. So we're pulsing up, feeling that burn for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Shake out your hands. That is the end of our no weight arm portion. You have the option now to grab some low weight things you can use around your house. Books, 1 to 3 pounds, cans of chickpeas, personally, whatever works for you. Coming back into that second position, we're going to start with some bicep curls, pretending we're like some Herculean people out there. We're just gonna keep our arms glued to our sides, elbows right here, curling your arms up and lowering them down. Really, it's low weight, so being very intentional about the resistance you create with yourself with these low weights that you have. Of course, you have the option to go into plie, a nice grand plie. So we curl our biceps. I like to always say during bicep curls, like I like to pretend I'm like Hercules, flexing those muscles as I curl up and down. Now, I'm going to give you an added option if you're feeling it today to raise your arms out in front of you and to make a nice straight line from your shoulders to your arms and just do a lifted bicep curl. Definitely slightly different feeling just because, you know, lifting your arm. You're not having to lift them while also curling those muscles. Curling in and curling out. I don't know where you guys are at the playlist, but if you're listening to the Euphoria soundtrack, I hope you're enjoying it. Tried to pick some of the best ones from there that I like to listen to the most. Shout out to Mary, one of our attendees who came up with the idea. So thank you, Mary. For 4 more, 3, last 2, last 1. All right, shooting your hands out to the side. We're just gonna do some ballet arms while coming out and transitioning from a grand plie to a straight position. So keeping your arms in a second position, you're just going to go from grand plie, straightening them up to curl them above your body into a nice 5th position, and then coming back down into 2nd. So it's like ballet arms, just with some weights to just add a little bit more spice and fun as we straighten and lower. Whew. Very similar to our warm-up. We're just now targeting our arms, and mine are feeling it. Whew. Straightening for 4, 3, last 2, last 1. Good job. That finishes our arm workout. So you can go ahead and set down those hand weights. We won't be using them again for today's class. Move them out of frame. Our timing is looking great. So go ahead, grab a quick sip of water before we transition into our bar portion. We'll be targeting our legs. So make sure you have something to rest your hands on. A chair, couch, desk, anything will do. And if you don't, just be really cognizant of the balance that you're doing for today's class. Regaining your breath from that arms workout. Maybe taking a moment, stretching that arm across your body, grabbing your arm either in front of or behind your elbow, but not actually on it, to give a nice stretch. And then transition to stretch that left arm. Nice to incorporate some stretching throughout the workout, not just at the end, but important to have at the end as well. Taking that right arm, walking it down your back, walking those fingers down as you press it down, and then transitioning into your other arm. All right, now that our breath is regained, arms are stretched, we are ready to target those legs for a bit. We're gonna start with one hand on the bar and working on our calves a bit. Starting out, you're going to be in a first position. For first position, you wanna make a nice soft V with your feet, ankles almost touching, if not touching. You don't want your turnout to be uncomfortable. You want your hips square, facing towards the front, and you can have one hand rested on your bar, and the other one you can have on your hip. We just use our arms a lot, so it's totally fine. Let's give our arms a bit of rest. And we're just gonna start with some heel raises. We're going into releve to target those calves. So lift those heels up and then lower them down. Lifting and lowering. Out of releve and out, making sure that those glutes are nice and engaged, those legs are. Also, it will help your entire workout to engage that core. That'll help you stay steady and just sneak in some core workout as we target our legs. Like I said, sneaky workouts are fun. We're raising. I am starting to feel it in my calves. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but we're gonna burn them out. We're gonna be doing this in first position, parallel, and then an inverted first position to burn out our calves. We're gonna do 4 more and then pulse it out. 3, 2, 1. Keeping those legs lifted, just going to raise, lower halfway and pulse up. So once again, we're not bouncing, we're just moving up an inch and down an inch. Feeling that burn in our calves. I know I am for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering those heels. We're going to go into parallel now. That just means your hips are square towards the front, feet are facing forward. We're going to be doing the same thing, same repetition of full and then some pulsing. So lift those heels up and lower them onto the ground, keeping your legs nice and straight. Oh, feeling that burn in my calves. I am. Hopefully you guys are too. If you ever have any questions about any movements, or if you feel that you're not doing it
in a way that is working for you, feel free to message me. You can message the group, or you can do so privately. Feeling that burn for 8 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay lifted and pulse halfway down and all the way up. We're pulsing for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. We're going to finish up this calf burnout by turning those feet in an inverted first position. So now your toes are facing towards each other. Nice slight triangle in those legs. Your knees are almost facing in. Your toes aren't touching. It's just slightly turned in. And we're just going to be doing the same thing, raising up and lowering. It's a slightly different position for our calf raise. Feels slightly different on those muscles. Maybe you need a minute to get acquainted with this new position. We lift and lower. My calves are shaking. That is completely normal. Shaking muscles means working muscles, but if it ever isn't painful, then that's where you stop, maybe reevaluate, message me. But shaking and burning is a part of our workout. For 4 more, and then we're going to pulse it out. We're almost there. 2, 1, lift up, halfway down, all the way up to pulse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whew, good job. Take a minute, stretch out those calves by going to a nice deep lunge, keeping your back foot flat on the ground to stretch out that calf. And then switching positions. Whew, I am feeling that burn. Stretch. All right, good job. For this next portion, we're gonna still keep one hand on the bar, but this time turn out from away from the bar. Keeping your hand on the bar. You have the option, you can rest both your hands on the bar, or you can do a diagonal tilt, whatever feels right for you today. With that, I'm gonna keep my right hand on my hip, straighten my right leg out in front of me while turned in. For turning in, that just means your knee is facing up straight in front of you towards the ceiling and not out. With that, we're just gonna lift our leg and lower it. It's like a kick, but nice and controlled, using that upper thigh to lift it. I'm feeling it here as we lift up and lower, pointing that foot. What's important here is to make sure our hips are square. What I like to do to picture that is picture 2 spotlights on my hips, and they're facing square towards each other. Whew, feeling that burn. What's important here is the control and keeping a nice slight bend in that standing leg, not locking it, to make sure that we are protecting our joints. We're gonna do 4 more, and then you know it, we're gonna pulse it. 3, last 2, last 1, lift up and picture a string, and we're pulling it up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whew, feel that burn, bringing that leg in. You can switch sides. I'm going to keep my same hand on my bar just to ensure that you guys can still see me even though I'm still shrouded in darkness. Keeping that leg on, or hand on the bar. We're just keeping that tilt. This time doing our opposite leg. For me, that is my left leg, whatever leg you did not just use. And keeping a nice slight bend in that standing leg and a nice turned in knee facing up. We're just going to lift and lower with a pointed leg. What's important for these is not height. It is control and using this muscle here to lift and lower. We're not ballerinas. We don't need our legs all the way up here. We are lovely bar participants, and we are using ballet to inspire us, but we are not going to be at Radio City Music Hall. I know I'm not going to be. We lift and lower. If you guys are in the playlist, I hope you're enjoying it still. For 4, 3, last 2, 1, and when we're going to lift it up, picturing that string right here and pulsing up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whew, good job. Take a minute, regain your breath, And we're going to transition into a new movement. Keeping one hand on the bar, we're gonna go into second position. So in a nice second position, we are going to start with some grand plies like we were doing before, just getting reacquainted with positioning, making sure our hips are a little bit more than shoulder distance apart, knees above your ankles, and straightening from grand and out. Once you get comfortable with this, I'm going to give you the added option of coming up into releve, lifting those heels off the ground, and just going from here, from plie through releve. So you're keeping your heels lifted the entire time, not letting them come off or rest down on the ground. It's a similar position. We're just now doing it raised off the ground to burn out those muscles. I like this move. Feels like you're zipping up and zipping down. We're gonna do a few more and change it up a bit. Whew. My legs are starting to shake. Totally normal. You are burning them out. Lowering for 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back down into a grand plie position. We're going to lower those heels on the ground and then lift them back up into releve while staying in the plie position. So we're lifting and lowering, working our thighs here, as well as our calves, lifting those heels off the ground while staying in a nice plie position. Lift and lower. Good. 4, a few more. 3, 2, 1. Good job. Straighten those legs. We have one more section of our standing bar portion before we'll finish a burnout of those glutes. Now is the time where you can go ahead and grab that throw pillow I mentioned at the beginning if you have one. I'm using my little ghost pillow. We're using this instead of a bender ball since we are all virtual. So anything that you can roll up and put nicely in between your legs, facing the bar, squaring your hips towards it, bringing this plush toy in between your legs or whatever you're using, squeezing it right between your thighs right here. We're just gonna do some plies in a nice parallel position while in releve. So lifting your heels off the ground with a nice bend in those legs, you're going to straighten your legs up while maintaining releve, and then plieing down into a nice 45-degree tilt, and then lowering. What will help you really engage your muscles here, you tilt that pelvis inward when you straighten. Keeping nice in control, using that bar as we lower it down and up. My legs are shaking as we do this. Whew. Plie, straighten. I am sweating. I think the heat from outside is starting to leak into my room. Plie and straighten for 4 more, and then we're going to pulse it out. 3, 2, 1. Coming down, staying down, just moving up and down an inch while keeping that releve. We're doing 16 in total. That's 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Take a moment, regain your breath. Let's stretch out those legs a bit. Crossing your leg on top of the other standing leg into a nice chair position with a flexed foot on top. Just stretch out those glutes a bit. We're gonna burn out of glutes a bit more when we get down to the mat. Switching for a nice plie. Just stretching that out. Maybe grab a quick sip of water. We'll transition down to the mat. Hope you'll are enjoying whatever music you're listening to and staying hydrated and feeling well, keep that throw pillow near you. We're going to be using it for our core workout, so you will be needing it shortly. So you're going to come into a tabletop position for our next movement of our leg workout. For tabletop, you want to make a straight line from your shoulder to your wrist, spreading those arms out just like we did in the plank position. This time our knees are directly below our hips. Nice tabletop. Now that we're in this position, straighten your leg out in front of you or behind you, with a nice pointed foot. Lift it up and lower it. What's important here is to make sure those hips stay square. You're not opening them up. You're keeping them facing towards the ground, using that upper glute. So we lift and lower. Keeping a nice flat back, using that lower glute to lift your leg. Once you're comfortable here, we're gonna add on last 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, next time we're going to lift that leg, hover it over the ground, bring it out to the side to tap that toe on the ground, lift it back up to tap and straighten. So you tap down, bring to the side, tap, side, and straighten. This is called a rainbow move. This is working our entirety of our glutes. And if you want a nice extra burn, just don't let that toe rest on the ground. Hovering as we go to the side and straighten. Whew. Feeling that burn as we keep those hips square towards the ground. Straighten. Whew. We have 4 more. Three. Whew. 2 more. Last one. Good job. Take a minute, regain your breath. We're gonna do that just on the other side, and that will finish up our legs workout. So come back into that tabletop, straightening that left leg in front of you with a nice pointed toe. We're just going to lift and lower. Starting things out. Really isolate that glute as we lift, lower. Staying in a tabletop position. Whew. Keeping those hips square towards the ground, not opening them up. Maybe getting lost in whatever music you're listening to. You're doing it with people. Maybe giving everyone some encouraging words. I know we're not together, so I will tell you, you guys got this. Telling whoever you're with, or just yourself. 4 more, and we're gonna add on our rainbow. 3, 2, 1. All right, we lower that foot, tap on the ground, bringing it out towards the side, tapping it to the side of us, tapping it behind us, and lifting. Tap, lift to the side, tap, and raise. I'm gonna scoot a bit so I'm not hitting my dresser. Tap to the side. This is working the side of our glutes as well as the bottom of it. Whew. Feeling that burn, making sure we're keeping our correct positioning. Thinking of those encouraging words as we finish up our leg workout. 4 more. 3, 2, almost there, so close. Last one. Good. Maybe shoot your legs back into child's pose. Take a moment, regain your breath. That finishes up our leg workout. Congratulating yourself, that was killer. So take a minute, maybe grab a quick sip of water and grab that throw pillow for our core workout. We just have our core workout and then our cool down. Please make sure you stay for the cool down. just as important as the rest of the workout to make sure that you have a nice full workout, and we thank those muscles for all the work that they do. All right, so taking that throw pillow, towel, blanket, whatever you are using, we're gonna be doing what we call in barre earthquakes. So coming into a seated position with your feet bent in front of you, taking that ball, pillow, towel, whatever, I want you to shove it right at the bottom of your back where your glute meets your back, right here, lower back to upper glute. And once you get it nice and situated there, maybe taking a minute to regain your positioning, shooting your arms out in front of you. We're going to tilt back 45 degrees. So nice deep bend in that core, keeping a flat back, arms straight in front of you, using that pillow to really isolate your core. And we're just going to lift our right hand above our head and lower it down, and then switch to our left. So you might be starting to realize why we call this the earthquake. When you lift your hand, if you're in the correct positioning, you'll start to feel your stomach and your core shake. That is what we are aiming for here. The shaking just means you're in the correct positioning and you are really working that core, making your own little earthquake in your body. I am feeling it. So we lift and lower, making sure you have a nice neutral gaze in front of you. And if you are thinking, hey, I want to raise the magnitude of this earthquake a bit, you have an option to lift those legs off the ground and do the same movement. Whew. I am shaking. My magnitude just went up. Lift those arms. We got 4 more. Whew. 3. 2 more. We're so close. Leaning into that shake. All right, good job. That is always a fun move. It feels very strange to encourage the shaking like that, but it is all good. That is what we are aiming for. We're going to continue to use our throw pillow a bit just to add in some different core workout. So coming down flat on your back, lifting your legs into a reverse tabletop position. You want your knees spread out, them stacked right over your hips. We're going to take that pillow or blanket or whatever you want, touch it to the ground, lift it to curl up, bringing it above our legs and bringing it back down. It's just like a crunch. But this time now we're lifting it pillow. If you're having any neck strain, take one hand, make a nice bucket to protect your neck, using that upper core to lift you as we crunch up and down. Tapping it so we lift and lower. Feeling that little burn in your core. So we lift and lower. Maybe a few more. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, bringing your knees together. We're just gonna work those obliques a bit now. So keeping your legs in tabletop, but now your knees are touching. This time when you lift the pillow, you're just going to bring it on the outside of your knees, bring it back down, and then switch to the other, lifting that head as we curl up. And if you're looking for that added option, just don't lift your head and just switch in between. Or don't lower your head, excuse me. Feeling that burn in those obliques. Whew, I know I am. Got a few more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Straighten those legs above your head. We're gonna finish out our core portion with our pillow by bringing that pillow up towards your legs, opening them up to grab the pillow with your legs, lowering them down to the ground, curling up, Now grabbing it with your hands and lowering them back down. If this is too much for you today, just keep those legs up and just curl your arms down. But if you're looking for the added option, lowering those legs to work that lower core. Whew. Feeling that burn in that stomach. We got 5 more. 4. Oh, I'm feeling that burn. 3. 2 more. I'm gonna go into the option. Last one. Good work. All right, you can set that pillow to your side. That finishes up our portion of our core with our elbow and with our pillow. Rolling back up, we're just gonna finish our core workout by working out the back of our core a bit. It's important to work out the entirety of it, not just your core, but not just your abdominals, but your entire core. So, you know Superman, you love him. The new Snyder cut of the DC movie, or of the Justice League is coming out. Maybe we'll see Dark Superman in that if you watch those. Maybe that's just me being too niche. Sorry, we're just going to straighten our legs out behind us, arms in front of us. You want your gaze towards the mat. We're going to lift up, pretending we're Superman flying through the air, holding for 5 seconds, and then lowering to the ground. Lift up, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down, pretending you're Clark Kent while on the ground. And now we're Superman flying for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got 2 more of these. Clark Kent, Superman, as we're flying. We got 1 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Last time is Superman as we're flying through Metropolis for 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower your hands. That finishes up the work portion of our workout. We're going to transition into a little bit of a slightly longer cool down just to really work out our muscles. So starting out, we're just going to straighten our arms in front of us, lowering our gaze towards the mat, just resting your head on the ground, maybe towards the side. Take a moment to regain your breath as we stretch. Taking a breath. And then bringing those arms to the side of your shoulders to lift your body up into a nice deep stretch of that core. Whew, feeling that stretch. Regaining your breath, maybe breathing in for 3. And then exhale. In for 3. Exhale. Last one. Shooting your hips back, going deep into a child's pose position. Regaining your breath again, leaning in, walking those hands out to the right of your body, keeping your head down, feeling that stretch in your back. And then walking back into the center. Take 1 breath in and out, and then transition to your left, stretching back out. Feel it's a nice deep stretch in your back. Good work. Flipping onto your back, we're going to continue our stretching while laying down. Bringing your knees in, hugging them nice and deeply. Before shooting that left leg straight and your right leg in towards you. Circling that right little ankle. And then maybe going a different direction. So while incorporating that nice breathing in and out throughout your cool down. Taking your right hand, crossing your leg over your body, twisting towards your left side while keeping those shoulders on the ground.
for a nice deep stretch while looking in the opposite direction. Breathing in and exhaling. One more. Rolling back in, bringing that right leg back in for a stretch. Bring your left leg in, crossing that right leg above your, or in front of your left leg. A nice flex foot. Taking that right hand to push that knee out slightly for a nice glute stretch, a nice deep glute stretch. Good. All right, shooting that right leg out and keeping that left knee in, rolling that ankle in one direction. And then in another. Taking that left hand, crossing that knee across your body as a twist towards the right, while keeping those shoulders on the ground and feeling that nice deep stretch. Breathing in and exhaling. One more breath and exhale. Good. Bringing that left leg back in, crossing it over your right foot with a nice deep flex, using that left hand to push that knee out to deepen your glute stretch. Good work. All right. Straighten your arms up in front of you to curl up into a seated position. Walking so you're up over your heels. Shooting your left leg back so you're in a nice deep runner's lunge. That knee above that ankle. And lifting that right arm up towards the ceiling to deepen that stretch as we look up towards the ceiling. Breathing in and exhaling to deepen the stretch. One more time. Good. Shooting that right leg back out to a plank before bringing that left leg forward into a nice deep runner's lunge. Lifting that left hand towards the ceiling. Looking up, breathing in and exhaling. One more. Good work. Bring that left arm back down. Bringing your right leg in so your feet are now together right by your shoulders or right in front of you. Letting those arms hang below you. Nodding your head yes. Shaking your head no. One more time. Yes. And then no. Maybe stretching a little bit deeper down if you can, touching your toes. If you need to, bend those legs slightly and then straighten them. Bend and straighten. Two more. Last one. Good. Now slowly begin to roll up, stacking each vertebra on your spine on top of each vertebra, and then your shoulders, and then your neck. Facing towards the front, taking your left hand to stretch your neck slightly. Nice light tug on that head. And then changing to the other side. Taking your arm out in front of you with your palm facing away from you, pulling down those fingers slightly to stretch out that hand a bit more. And then switch sides. Finishing with a nice deep plie, we're going to do 3 centering breaths. So close your eyes, bring those hands out in front of you. Exhale, bring them above your body. Bring your hands back down. 2 more. Breathe up, maybe adding a slight bend in those legs and bringing them back down towards your body. Your last one, thanking yourself, your body for your workout, all the work you just put in. One deep breath up. And exhale, bringing your hands to heart center. That finishes today's workout. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm going to end today's recording, but you're free to stay along and have any questions if you have any questions or comments.